All right, you guys back on the live stream at least? Do we have you back there? Shoot me some comments when you guys are getting this. All right, we're back now. Georgia Rebel, or this is real. Everybody hear us here? Again, we're just checking to make sure we're good before we get back into it. Give me some thumbs up or something. I see comments, but let me know we're in real time here.
I have two. I have two Wi-Fi providers now going, and I can't cut one because I don't trust either.
Yeah, I didn't realize if we had two going all at once there, but okay. Again, anybody in the live stream, help me out. Show me that we're live because I'm not getting any thumbs up from anybody that we're good. And I'll refresh this page just to check real quick.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
Oh, okay, we're back. Okay, give me a couple more thumbs up. All right, here we go. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right. She knows we're calling her back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you on AT&T or?
I'm on AT&T.
Okay.
All right, everybody, hold on just 1 second, and we'll get right back to it. So just chill for 1 second.
And right now nobody's on it in my house. I mean, Carson's outside playing basketball. I think Caroline might be on it. She has 2 AP exams tomorrow. Campbell just got home from Memphis, and Laura's not on it. So it was just a.
That was kind of a freak accident at that
The
time.
Wi-Fi just died.
Yeah. So
You know, sometimes just accidents happen. You know, sometimes you just hit a bad shot. You know, it was kind of one of those deals.
Unacceptable, really.
yeah. All right, Neil. You want to ask that question again as we're getting started?
Yeah, I can't even remember what question I asked.
We're talking about the cab. That's all
Yeah,
we're doing.
we're on to the cab. Ashley, thank you for putting up with our Wi-Fi issues. You were worried about your Wi-Fi issues, and it was our Wi-Fi that died. So tell us about the cab a little bit.
Yeah, so I was saying before the call went out that this is our neighboring valley of Alexander Valley, and it's right between us and Napa. So, it's the perfect place for growing cab. It's beautiful rolling hills, and it's completely gorgeous. A little bit warmer than we get in Dry Creek Valley, and we have we're a little bit closer to the coast, so we have some coastal fog influence. So Alexander Valley doesn't really have that. But that's great for cab. It's great for a thick-skinned varietal that needs a little more sunshine. So, we're really, again, lucky to get this fruit. This is from a really well-known and awesome vineyard that's grown by the Fox family. And yeah, so Pyramid Vineyard Cab. In 2017 was a warm year here in Sonoma County and, all over California. And that's actually great for cab. It sort of brings it to this more fruit-driven expression of the varietal rather than being, like a lot of tannin and a lot of, tar and earth and leather, which it has all those things, but it also has like a nice sort of fruitier element too. So what do you guys think of this wine? Because, I know you were very excited to taste it, and so I'd love to hear your feedback.
I'm going to let Neil go.
Oh, that's excellent. I love everything about it. From the
There's a huge nose on it. That's
Yeah,
great. I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing too. Like that's by far the best nose we've had so far.
yeah, Ashley, this is terrific. This is I mean, I'm a cab guy, but this is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
What do you
Yeah,
think, Chris?
this one is delicious.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely.
This is like,
What all flavors you getting in there? Run me through the profile. Tell me what all you're getting.
Does it have a little bit of cherry in it?
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
A little chocolate, a little tobacco.
A little bit of
I was
chocolate.
going to say a little
Yeah.
tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. Very good.
I'm just going to call you guys to write my tasting notes. You've got it.
I need to swirl it around a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, so this,
When you're a winemaker, Ashley, which are the ones that, I mean, what is the one that is kind of your calling card? What is the one that when you're a winemaker, you're like, this is the one that I've got to get right? If you're a barbecue person, it's your brisket, it's your ribs or whatever. That's the one that you got to nail. If you're a winemaker, which is the one that you feel like, hey, this is the one that I have to get it exactly right?
so, winemaking is a very personal thing. Like, I have 2 kids, and I love them more than anything. And also, I love my wines exactly the same as I love my kids. Like, they're all my children, and they're all, like, so personal and so, I feel so attached to them. So it's hard to pick out a favorite. But I think it changes every year. So, like, in a warmer year, like in 2017, it was like harder to get the cooler varietals like Chardonnay and Pinot. Harder to get those right. But then in a cooler year like 2018, it's the cabs that I sort of lament the most about. Because they like that little bit more warmth. So it sort of depends on the year, and there's always like one that I'm like, it's on my mind and it's like at the forefront of all of my thoughts for that vintage. Or the one that like stresses me out, or maybe like something happened in the vineyard or during the growing season. So it definitely changes year to year. So I feel like I obsess pretty equally about all of my wines. So I wouldn't say there's one that gets more attention than the others necessarily.
Well, this was a lot of fun. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. Sorry about the little Wi-Fi hiccup there, and this was, like I said, this was a lot of fun. We'll tweet out the promo code, and I'll put it on the website and all of that stuff. And thanks to Jack and Davey and everybody with Cast that made this possible, and especially thanks to you for the time you gave us.
Yeah, it was so fun, guys. I really appreciated talking to you. And when this is all over, please come visit us, because Sonoma County is really beautiful. So we'd love to
So
have
you guys are what, you said you're about an hour north of the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Sounds like we need to do a show there.
That would be perfect.
I'm sure we could do that. We could arrange that. We could set it up.
Golf coach can travel too.
Yeah.
You guys could play golf. I could ride on a cart and drink rosé, and we'd all be good.
I'll provide wine for it.
Excellent. Yeah, Ashley, absolutely. Thank you so much for giving us this amount of time.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Was Ashley Herzberg with Cast Wines there again? A lot of different options, a lot that we liked, a lot that really we liked all of them. Frankly, it was not a bad wine in the bunch there. Any of them would fill in quite nicely for dinner time. So appreciate that. You guys, again, promo code GROVE is to how to order if you're in a place where you can order. If not, I'm sure we'll find a way to bootleg you some. Get Malloy to drive it on down for you something. We Smokey and the Bandit this thing a little bit. So
because everybody knows college coaches cheat. So I mean, it's all good. I mean, whatever. We'll work around the rules. Rules, schmools.
I'm a golf coach.
I mean, just today we've heard all about all the tampering allegations that are going on, and so I mean, I know you're calling golf players at Arizona and Michigan, and you're just calling to say, hey, just in case, would love for you to join the Rebels. I mean, I've seen your calls. I know how that works.
I'm thankful to have a job at this point. There will be no rule breaking here.
That is one thing. I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, we're going to get to a lot of different stuff, just kind of play around a little bit the rest of the show, but you're seeing schools drop sports, seeing different things. I mean, there is a certain, thankfully for you and everybody else, there's a little more security at SEC schools, the Power 5 schools, where you're thankful, but you're not necessarily right now putting your head on the pillow at night going, hey, this thing tomorrow could get cut, I would think, right?
No, I don't think anybody is. Just in life. I mean, I don't care if you're college golf coach, college football coach, you own hotels, you own restaurants. Like, it doesn't matter what realm of life that you're in, what business you're in. It's a tough time right now,
Mm-hmm.
and these are all first world problems, right? And as far as where we are and what we're doing as collegiate athletics, you're right. Football is going to drive the boat, and I think we're all hopeful and optimistic that everything kicks off, no pun intended, on schedule in the fall. But we're just sitting back, especially as a golf coach, and waiting and seeing.
Yeah, I was asked a second ago. They asked us in the thread about an hour ago if we could just get you to call Kepka. We'll talk to him for a little while on the show tonight. But in all seriousness, he put that thing up on Instagram. Speaking of wine and steak or anything, could you not get your boy to eat a medium rare steak? That thing was well done, charred like the bottom of a shoe.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was really, really bad. And I happened to be cooking a steak that night, so I sent it to him and said, "This is how it's properly done." But but it was bad. It was beyond bad, and hopefully, thank goodness he makes his living not as a chef as as a professional golfer.
Yeah, you speaking of though, you've gotten into the grilling, into the cooking a little more here during the pandemic. You bought the grill that's cheating. You and I talked about it like a month ago. You basically just let the thing on your app do it. Like I was telling you, like I'm dealing
What did you buy?
I'm dealing with the egg where we got knobs and levers and we're trying to get this thing right. Malloy just kicks up in his recliner, watches how the meat cooks on his phone, and hits a button when to turn it off.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of Wi-Fi cooking. It's what I call Wi-Fi cooking. So I got a Rectech 700, right? So I was going to get a pellet grill, and a lot of my friends have talked about the Traegers and all that. So I started to do the research. I waited on the stimulus check to come, right? I mean, I was trying to figure out, and finally that came, and I said, okay, like, I can probably afford to do this. So
how'd you convince the wife that was the way to spend the $1,400 or whatever it was?
I was asking for forgiveness at that point in time, right? It wasn't permission; it was forgiveness. We're getting over that currently. We're going to get through that, but it's awesome. I mean, and again, I'm not naturally a griller, and I've gotten into it. I had a big green egg, so I kind of latched onto that over the last few years, and at the start of the pandemic, I really latched onto the green egg, switched over to this Rectech, and again, I think if you get that, a Traeger, there are probably a couple other ones that are out there, so I decided to go with that, and it's been awesome, right? I mean, you're sitting back and you're watching. It's a bar graph. It's literally a bar graph.
You seen this?
No,
It
I've
shows
not
you.
seen it.
I'm going to show you. It's off the chart. So I start this thing and I go to 225, and then it has room for two meat probes that connect into the grill, which connect into your app, and it's a bar graph that shows you what it's doing. So I had three Boston butts on last night. I had meat probes in two of them, and from 10 o'clock last night, I woke up this morning at like 6:30. Didn't even get out of my bed. I swear, didn't get out of my bed. And I pulled up my phone. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. They're 162 and one's at 164. This is perfect. I can go back to sleep for a little while. And I have alarms when they hit a certain point. So, yeah, it is cheating, but
it is
I'm fine.
perfectly cooked. I mean, I'm telling you, it is perfectly cooked.
Correct.
I've seen your photos, but you don't get the same. Did you still get the same feeling of accomplishment when you're done? Or
You
going,
don't
oh, the
get
hell
the same
with it?
thrill because you don't put the work in. I mean,
Well, let me tell you something. I tell you what. Let Let me tell you, boys, what a good feeling is. It's biting into a good steak. We're biting into a great, Boston butt. That is great.
Because what you're avoiding is the terrible feeling of overcooking the damn thing.
Correct.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Right.
what you're knocking out is you've got that nice piece of meat and you're just praying to the gods when you slice it open that thing's going to be the right shade of pink or whatever you're doing.
No doubt. I don't need any of that stress in my life. I'm a coach. I'm a college golf coach that coaches 18 to 22-year-olds. I got enough stress in my life, boys. I don't need another one on a grill.
Every time your phone rings on a Saturday morning at 12:07 a.m., you're like, oh God.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, it's not good, and thankfully my guys are good. But again, I'm not looking for more stress. I'm looking to ease things. I tell you, the other thing that I've really gotten into the last 2 years is sous vide, right? And cooking, in the back. It's weird, right? And it's bizarre sitting there putting a steak into a bag and putting it into water and cooking it that way, and then I finish it on a cast iron skillet. It is. You talk about dummy proof. That's as dummy proof as it gets. But that's kind of what I've gone to do on my steaks on.
So you have a sous vide as well? Because that's the next thing I'm thinking about getting. Because you're right. So with steaks, now me personally, I can go anywhere from medium rare all the way to medium, and I'm good. My wife would like for the cow to just barely be dead, and every degree past that is disastrous. And so if I serve her a medium steak, she's upset. I mean, not and she won't express it that way, but I mean, she doesn't. She wants it medium rare minus.
Yeah, then that's probably your problem with it. It was going to be
so with
that
the sous vide, you can get that exactly where you want it, sear it, and done.
you can get it exactly where you want it. But if you have people that have different tastes,
You got a problem.
you got a problem.
Because it takes
Right?
so
It's not-
long.
Yeah, it's not
you can't
like you
immediately
can take that one off the grill. So I think with that. So if I had people that wanted steaks done different temps, then I would have those meat probes in, and you'd be able to take one off of that pellet grill. I think I don't know. For me personally, I'm not advanced enough in the grilling thing yet. Hopefully that I can look at a steak or and take it off. So I need to cheat a little bit on that.
We've never really talked about this with you, Chase. You have two big green eggs. You sold
No, I
one?
sold one, so I only have one. I'm only at one. Yeah.
Yours is a large, right?
It is a large. That is correct.
Okay, so I've got an extra large big green egg, and I had to adjust from the large to the extra large because it's a lot more surface area, which means there's a lot more heat. And so when you're trying to smoke something at, say, 225, it is a very difficult balance to get it. You'll get your grill going, and getting it down from 400, say, to 225 is a nightmare. I mean, it'll take hours sometimes. So you have to really, the fire building process with the extra large is a lot more work than the large used to be.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. But once you get it, it maintains that steadiness of the heat more than the large did.
So is the XL, is that the biggest? What's the biggest?
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
The XL
So
is
that's
the
what
biggest one.
that's what Matt Mott has. And whenever in his that's a big
See,
difference.
I've had him on the podcast, but he's never invited me over or anything like that. So
And he cooks all the time. That's
I must
selfish.
I must not be cool enough to hang out at his house.
Same
or-
neighborhood. I mean, like that's a bad
Yeah,
deal.
I know. I mean, we've talked on our mountain bikes and stuff, but no, I mean, so whatever.
To come over and work out on your tree with you sometimes.
Mm.
Neil's he's hooking stuff to a tree out front, and that's how he's getting his workouts in because he's scared of the gym right now. So he's doing all sorts of stuff in the driveway just for all the passersby as they come through. No,
There you go.
What has happened each morning, and it's just part of the deal. Is I've noticed that a lot of the ladies of North Point have stopped, and they've set up they've brought their champagne or whatnot, mimosas, and they've set up their lawn chairs, and they've watched me do my workout with the resistance band wrapped around the river birch tree. And I'm just glad that in this trying time, in this challenging time, that I'm able to entertain.
You're giving back to the neighborhood, really.
Yeah, it's just what that's what I'm trying to do, and I have developed quite a workout regimen using a resistance band and a river birch tree. No joke, I really have. I've kind of over the last 2 months, I've kind of perfected it, and I'm able to do back and shoulders and chest and triceps, biceps to a degree. I keep waiting for the tree to die, and at that point, I will be
You're expecting the tree to die?
No, I'm not.
Huh?
Well, just pulling on it all the time because the bark falls off, and so I'm, the Malloys have a guest house, and I'll just move in. It'll be fine.
Golf coach. Of course we have a guest house. Y'all don't be silly.
Yeah. I mean, how much did you, when this thing first happened, and people were saying, hey, there's not going to be a football season in 2020, and because there's going to be a football season in 2020. It's going to happen. What it looks like, I don't know, but there's going to be one. But a month ago, if you had told me there's not going to be a football season in 2020, I would have said, well, I guess I can see it. For someone like you who's built this program, and all jokes aside, you've built a nationally prominent golf program, and you look around the country and you start seeing different schools, Central Michigan and East Carolina and Cincinnati and stuff, all these schools starting to cut programs that aren't revenue-generating programs. It had to be really disheartening, right?
Well, I think it was disheartening from the start. The most disheartening part was, I have a young team. I have a very talented team. And traditionally, my teams don't play well until the postseason. I'm pretty hard on my guys, throughout the fall, early spring, because I want us to take our lumps. And I really thought, even if you didn't see it in the results, I thought we were starting to play better. And I'm telling you, I know it's easy to say now, but and Chase, you and I talked about this, that this team was turning that corner. We were starting to see, things that they were doing in my freshmen and sophomores. And then to have it, cut off like it was, that was the, truly the heartening part of it, right? And going, wow. We didn't get to see the fruits of our labor and turn the corner. Then, to your point, there was a lot of unknown. But if you know anything about me, I don't freak out about it. I don't fret.
Can't control the uncontrollable.
I can't, and I preach it every single day to my guys. And I've probably started to believe what I'm preaching, maybe, and I'm not so sure I'm that way, by nature, but whenever other coaches would call me and listen, it's obvious, what you said, and we're a non-revenue generating sport. I laugh all the time, hey, we're still at absolutely zero season ticket sales, right? There's nobody that makes fun of it more than this guy. I stand up at our all staff meetings, and anyone will tell you, I'm like, okay, just as an update, we still sold. We're holding steady at zero season ticket sales as we have the last 35 years. We're bringing in no money.
So your season ticket revenue has not dropped in 3 decades.
Well,
it's amazing.
That's my point. We're trending equally. We are not trending down. A lot of other sports and programs are.
Yeah.
And, that's where I think we've leveraged ourselves. But, man, again, the folks that know me, I don't worry about any of that stuff. And sure, certainly, I listen to your podcast, or, Neal, I hear you talk about how, men's golf probably is going to get cut at some point in time, but
he heard that. You heard that back in the day.
No, I did.
About a month ago.
But again, I don't let you get me down. I don't even let you,
well, that rattlesnake that showed up in the mailbox was terrifying. You should feel bad because my daughter was the one that opened the box that day, and it was terrifying. So
but it's real.
When you look around, when you see the stories, though, that all jokes aside, people have lost their jobs to this.
Absolutely.
I saw, was it Bowling Green? I think shut down baseball, and I saw the interview with the coach.
Akron cut golf? Is that the
Akron,
one that's cut
Akron just cut golf, and they have a lot of tradition, But again, I think if you look at it, the writing's on the wall. I don't think we're probably at the end of that for some of these other programs. Thank goodness. We're in the SEC. But here's what I'll tell you. To answer your question, the short answer, if a college golf coach in the SEC ends up, losing his job, because of, COVID-19, then I think we're all in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of other people that probably have to worry as well. And, we'll see. We'll hope for the best. And again, I couldn't think of a better, conference to be in. I couldn't think of a, better school to be at. And listen to, Keith, he keeps us updated, as coaches. And I know everyone's pulling in the right direction, but there's a lot of unknowns, certainly.
You want to open a box, Neal?
Yeah, and I have to apologize. I did not wear a jersey today.
Yeah, Neil's supposed to be wearing jerseys every time he's on camera right now for whatever reason.
Should I put a jersey on
If
just
you'd like.
just to
You want to
cover,
hand me one and you want to go get a jersey?
cover our base?
It'd be weird if you didn't have a jersey on.
All right,
This
I'll
one.
throw a jersey on. I'll put this.
Chris
here.
couldn't even bring you a shark hat to wear. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
well, you got to join the Back Nine Club, right, Chris? You want to give a promo there?
You are correct. Listen, hey, I mean, hey, y'all are my friends, but I mean, you got to join the booster club again. Let's go back to my season ticket sales, guys. I got to make money somehow.
They do look good though.
They're good.
They are
and
good
listen,
looking cows.
and listen, I get a lot of heat, from people all the time that talk about, hey, you're charging X amount, to join your club, but at the end of the day, we're not selling season tickets, and again, we're a sport that I think we can be good, and if you look at the traditionally great programs, Oklahoma State, now you have Alabama has got a tradition now. And they have such an unbelievable, private following in support of folks that have joined their booster club. That's a lot of money rolling in and helping with their program, helping with facilities and a lot of other areas.
You give a Rebel Grow promo code for people to join. I bet we can throw some people in there. We can still get you some bottom line dollars. I bet we can work something out.
No doubt, we can get a deal.
Yeah, we get some deals going. I'm seeing that in the stream. That's what people are saying. They're talking about it as we go over here. Wait, what? In all seriousness, I mean, what does that money necessarily go for? Like, what is sort of the from a booster club from a golf standpoint? What is that typically just from a generic? What does that do?
It goes to a lot of different areas,
Okay.
right? And it's kind of your nest egg that you can go and I think a lot of it goes to facilities, making sure that you have everything that you need.
Okay.
I mean, it can be from a fueling station,
Okay.
that we're trying to build to, as you saw the Tosh family short course,
Right.
redoing our range. We're about to redo our building. It can be different travel needs, right? Team retreats, anything. It's kind of all over the spectrum in our deal.
Neil's going to open some boxes here in a second. We've got unboxing. You don't even know what's in these things, Chris. It could be much of anything coming out of these.
Do we get to guess?
This is from.
I mean, you could guess. You're going to be wrong, but you can guess.
This is from Goodwill Industries of Central Florida.
Okay, so I mean, can we?
Yeah,
I think
go
that'd be
ahead.
the fun of it all.
Well,
It's
guess.
it's like a Christmas box. I mean, a kid at Christmas, you get to shake it. Can we all feel it?
It feels like a book.
Oh, it's a book.
Is it a book?
It's a book. So what's it a book about?
Well, I don't know. The last book was How to Cook Cock book.
I mean, it's definitely a book.
Yeah.
So, wait, who is it from?
We don't know that. A lot of times we don't have an answer
This
there.
is from Goodwill Industries of Central Florida. So possibly Mickey Mouse. Possibly something to
What do you
do
think?
with the University of Central Florida, the Orlando Magic.
Sports motivational book.
Sports motivational book is the guess.
I'm scared. What is it?
Sports motivational book it is. This is a book called Flim Flam. The truth behind the blind faith culture that led to the explosive NCAA investigation of Ole Miss football.
Rebel Grove Book Club. Book for June.
I'd burn that thing.
It took 3 or 4 weeks to actually get that. I'm surprised. Although somebody had to pay money for it.
You have any hand sanitizer after that one?
Yeah. You follow all that stuff, Malloy? You're not a big internet guy. Like you're not getting into the mud for all that kind of scrap, are you?
I don't. Listen, I'm concerned about what I do, and again, people are crazy out there, and I'm not concerned what their thoughts are.
So why did it have a Goodwill thing on it though? Seriously, like where'd that come from?
I told you, somewhere in Orlando,
Okay.
Central Florida.
It is beautiful cover art. I mean,
It's just the whole tampering thing is idiotically stupid. Of course, the players know each other.
are you aware of what's going on, Chris?
I am not.
Oh,
I'm not.
I wish I were as blissfully ignorant at this point because
So a couple of state football players are potentially transferring to Ole Miss, or at least in the run. They've gone to the portal, the whole deal. And a state media member is claiming that Ole Miss is tampering because of one of the players' high school teammates, who is Ole Miss, told him he ought to come to Ole Miss. Players can't tamper. Your high school teammate saying go to a school does not mean tampering.
But aren't you on the transfer portal? I mean, I'm not. If you're on the transfer portal,
if you're in the transfer portal, schools can contact you. But the allegation is that there was tampering before the kids got in the portal. And Robertson here, the esteemed author of this best-selling book, Flim Flam, he is accusing he is saying that the Ole Miss players who have contacted the Mississippi State kids are violating NCAA rules, which is not true. Unless there is documentation of, say, an Ole Miss coach saying, hey, John Rice, give him a call and tell him we want him to be a rebel.
Yeah.
You know. And I know this is an area that you probably don't feel like getting into, so I'll do this.
I mean,
I'll do this for you. It's the paranoid obsession of some with this rivalry it's getting a little ridiculous. This is a lot ridiculous.
I'm assuming it doesn't bleed over into golf very much at this point.
No, they're good guys, and again, their coach I have a good relationship with, and I mean, and to go back to it, when I was here, those guys were some of our closest friends. I mean, like we played a lot of the same tournaments. We were very regional, so it's hard for me to really grasp that.
Can't relate to that very well.
I'm an Ole Miss guy, went and bleed red and blue and all that. I just. Yeah, I don't really get it, and hopefully it gets to a healthier spot at some point. For sure.
Still toxic, no matter who the coaches are. Still toxic.
And hopefully, do you guys agree that with Leach down there and Kiffin here that potentially helps it?
From a school standpoint, yes.
Yeah.
You just got to keep it's the media crap.
Here's the thing: is that Matt Luke and Joe Moorhead were civil.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They were okay to each other. I never sensed that the two of them were about.
Yeah, we're a long way from the Freeze Mullen kind of whatever school related stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a while since then.
Well, and you can I think if you look back to it, as you can see how it trended to a bad spot. Hopefully, hopefully with Matt and Joe Moorhead, even though they're not here anymore, that helped. Turn it in the right direction, and these two now will continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to imagine a scenario where Kiffin and Leach are screaming at each other over the.
I agree.
Over the egg. Mullen started it.
They'll probably fly to Florida together when the season's over.
Yeah, Mullen started it. Ole Miss escalated it. Mississippi State escalated it again, and then it got ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's going in the right direction. I really do.
What else you got? No.
This is a.
That's another book.
It's another book. It's from Reach Around Books in St. George, Utah.
Okay. Why are we getting so many books this week? Usually it's Caps. Caps has been our thing so far.
Any guesses on what the book is?
I'm scared of this one. Have you played any golf, Malloy? Or you actually get out there any?
I am playing more golf. I played 6 rounds of golf in 2019, and I've played quite a bit since this all started. I play about every Friday. So Kermit
you've got
Davis,
your little grudge match going.
Oh, it's a bad deal, boy.
Yeah, tell the people.
Oh, it's a bad deal. So Kermit and his son-in-law Fletcher Johnson,
a hell of a golfer,
who is a great golfer. He played at state.
I think he's won the Mississippi Am before.
He's won the state Am.
Yeah,
and an even better dude, right? I mean, he's just he's the nicest guy. So they've started to come over on Fridays. So Kermit, myself, and Luke Chambly, and I have taken them on, and for whatever reason, Luke has turned into a god, in this deal. And when I tell you they have been grudge matches and trash talking from the first tee, and thank goodness, with the exception of one of them, we got them pretty good one time, but the rest of them have come down to 18, and then 2 or 3 of them, if we've had 5 of them, 2 or 3 of them have gone to extra holes.
Okay, what's the format and what are the stakes?
So what we've kind of settled on, the front 9, we've done best ball, and then on the back 9 we go to a 2-man scramble, which is great. Right, keeps everyone in it, and it's like I said, it's just been perfect. We've had a couple of comebacks, we've had chip ins on 18 and all that. And the they got to get us donuts in the morning.
Donuts in the morning, that's the thing.
And it's a bad deal. My kids like it, but it's been a blast. It's kind of kept us in it. And again, the reason I stopped playing golf is, if I'm not playing at a higher level, or if there's no competition,
you get bored.
I get bored. I get really, really bored. So, and I can't play with my guys because they're a lot better than I am. So we've had a blast. It's been cool. So we played about once a week.
Well, I think I asked you, like, we played in a charity scramble together last summer, and I think I picked you up, and I said, how many times you played? And you said 3, and one of them was at Augusta National over the last year. I think that would have been your year, and I was like, well, shit, Chris, okay.
I've played good places. No, I didn't complain about where I had played. I just said I didn't play. I haven't played a whole lot.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, in that 1 year, and I don't know if it was before or after, I've had 6 rounds of golf, and it was, 2 at Augusta, 1 at Seminole, 2 at Pine Valley, and
Tupelo Country Club. That was
like Tupelo Country Club, something like that. It was crazy, So again, not playing a whole lot, but my son Cash is just turned 5. He's pretty darn good at it. He loves it. I mean, he wants to play every day. So I need to start playing. I will start playing, and it'll be fun. I think I'll love playing with him.
What do you got, Mr. McCready?
This is a book. It is written by Bemisi Tayanita.
Oh, that's got to be Spank the Monkey.
It is called Spank the Monkey Lends a Hand.
Oh, yeah.
Have you read this book before?
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Whoa, what? What's the deal?
This is called Spank the Monkey Lends a Hand. It is a book about it's a work of fiction. I'll read the first few pages. If you find yourself alone with much to think about, call Spank the Monkey. He'll come by and help you work things out. Just the other day, while walking on the farm, Spank the Monkey stopped to look in Farmer Johnson's barn. The air in there was warm. It smelled of salt and sweat and lotion. Way back in the corner was a constant, steady motion. The farmer's arm was moving fast. His hands, they looked so worn. Spank the Monkey stepped right up and helped him shuck his corn.
Okay.
Your mind was in a bad place there, Parham. He was just helping with the corn. Spank likes to visit Grandpa, who loves his magazines. He has the first one and the last and all the in-betweens. He flips right through the articles until his fingers blister. What he really likes to do is look at all the pictures. When Grandpa gets excited and messes up an issue, Spank is there to save the day with a box of tissue.
So is this a kid's book?
This is a kid's book.
Yeah.
Vinny has a job making sauce for pizza pies. As he cooks, he likes to watch the waitresses go by. Vinny grabs his hard salami and he hides it from the boss. Then he goes into the pantry to make some secret sauce. Vinny makes a lot of sauce. He whips it up by hand. Spank has seen the waitress. He can understand.
How long is this book? No?
We're about halfway through.
I thought you were doing 3 pages.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go to the next.
You're lulling me to sleep here at this point.
Yeah. So
that'll go on the bookshelf behind.
Which book took more work, Flim Flam or Spank the Monkey?
Well, now that's probably fewer grammatical errors in that one.
Well, there's no question that Spank the Monkey is better written.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the ones I'm interested in now, like the bags. We don't.
This is from Spirit Shop in Detroit, Michigan. It is made out to, the address is Neal McDebuke. I have a thing for the state of Iowa, as you know. I've never been to Iowa, but I'm a fan.
You got a helmet.
He watches a lot of Big Ten football, and then when we need like random town in the country to just pull from to make a point, it's always Dubuque, Iowa, for some reason. That's the one we go with.
Appears to be a
definitely
T-shirt.
Do that, yeah.
T-shirt.
See that?
How about that?
That's a great T-shirt. I don't know what
The
it
Dubuque
says,
Rams. It appears to be the Dubuque Rams 2020 track team. This is fantastic.
Amazing. Good quality too.
Oh, that's
Look at
good. That's good.
That. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Solid.
That's a good one.
That's very good.
We are getting a lot of Iowa these
A
days.
lot of Iowa people respect my love for the state of Iowa.
We got a
even-
Houston Nut, Arkansas hat up here, Chris. We got that going too.
I like that. I saw that straw hat.
Yeah, that came in last week as well.
By the way,
Can you pull off the straw hat?
No, I can't.
Can you not?
Mm-mm.
Not.
And I probably should, with the sun that I'm in. Just got my first little deal clipped off, first
did you
off
really?
this week, which I mean is pretty good.
In fairness,
42, I mean, I've made it a long time without having any of that done, and
in fairness to Houston, he started wearing those because he had a deal on his ear.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, people made fun of Houston, but there was a practical reason for the hat. I mean, there's plenty of reasons to make fun of Houston. The hat was actually not one of them. It made sense.
But still plenty of reasons. Yeah, no, you're right.
But yeah,
Are we doing one more or?
yeah. There's one
We
more.
got one more. This is the fewest we've had in a while. We had 10 or so last week.
This chase is from Zach Leach
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what this one is.
in Amory, Mississippi.
Yeah.
That's no fair. Is it good?
Huh? It's back on the realm of what I thought it was going to be. Zach getting a little promotion for. He's a baseball coach.
Uh huh.
He was one of my college roommates.
Oh, Zach was one of your roommates?
Uh huh. Yeah.
So what are some other issues? Like, what do you have? What else is going on right now?
We'd love sports, Chris. That'd be great. I mean, it's
Fairly
all
bored?
legislation related. It's
Oh,
do
how
I?
about this?
Well, what'd you guys think? I mean, sports kind of. Oh yeah, you got a lot of them there.
A lot of gear here.
It is Sulligent, Alabama High School baseball caps.
Chase and Neil, hope you guys enjoy the Sulligent Blue Devil baseball hats. I really appreciate all that you do with the podcast and how you're keeping it going during the COVID-19 pandemic. Neil, I know how you really wear a sports jersey to bring a positive vibe, help bring sports back to America. That's my job. The jersey in the box is yours to keep. Thank you. I hope you will wear the jersey for one of the Hand Raised Guys podcast. You got it. It will honor all of the high school senior athletes this spring who played their last game and didn't know it was their last game or last time to be a part of a team. There are a lot of high school seniors who will not be playing college ball. I hope you would do this to honor them. Zach, I will absolutely do that. That's cool. He makes note that he's worried about grammatical errors. He said he didn't have Chase proofread it like he did with all of his other college papers at Ole Miss. There were no errors. So
That is very, very
you
true.
did really well. So we got a number of hats. There's one for you.
Yeah, you got a lot.
Well,
of
they're all fitted. You got to figure out what size you
Okay.
you
All
wear.
right. We got
Yeah.
lots of hats, and I've got a Sulligent jersey. I'll hold the jersey up so people can see it. It's very nice. It's very nice.
There's a lot in that box. A lot of stuff.
So
Lot
what
of
did you
hats.
guys think? You had sports kind of come back on last weekend. I somewhat sports. You had the match down at Seminole.
Seminole, yeah.
Did y'all watch that?
I watched that. Neil watched some soccer. Watched
watch
a
any
little
NASCAR?
NASCAR.
I watched a little NASCAR. I watched one of the races at Churchill Downs. What happened to me on Sunday was I was in here. I work on 10 Weekend Thoughts on Sundays, and it's usually about a 3-4 hour operation. And I turned on – I'm an NBA guy, so the Jordan thing has been fantastic. And ESPN started at noon. They did 10 straight hours. They showed them all, one by one by one, and I got into that. And the other thing that I got into is the MLB Network was showing famous Game 7s. And they showed the 1979 Game 7, the Willie Stargell game between the Pirates and the Orioles. And I was telling Chase, it was I was 9 years old at the time. It was one of my first real sports memories, begging my parents, can I stay up and watch this game? And it was Howard Cosell and Willie Stargell hit a home run off Scott McGregor to win the game at the old Baltimore Stadium. And
Memorial Stadium.
yeah, and so it was kind of
I grew up an Orioles fan. So.
Did you? Yeah, and Al Bunbury, the Orioles center fielder, was one of my favorite players. I guess because I had his baseball card and I liked their hat. And but I remembered that game and cheering for the Orioles that night, and the Pirates won, and so I got lost kind of going down memory lane. And then they showed the greatest game that's ever been played in any sport ever, Game 7 of the 2016 World Series, Cubs and Indians. And so I had to watch that because it was on. Otherwise, that's you don't dare not watch it.
We had a meeting with Ross the next morning after Game 7 of the 16 World Series. I picked Neil up, and he was still drunk at 9:30 the next morning. He was he was completely hungover, maybe drunk. Like
As you should have been.
just
no doubt.
I mean, like,
So I watched that. So on Sunday I had actually intended to watch some of the golf, and then I got down that rabbit hole and it didn't happen. But I've watched some of the Korean Baseball League. The baseball's not bad. It's not.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not MLB. I've enjoyed the broadcast. It's been one of those deals where
I didn't know it was a thing. I mean, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this week has been the most encouraged I've been.
Yeah.
It's very clear the NBA is going to come back. I was listening to some NBA stuff today, and give them some credit. Unlike Major League Baseball, who appears determined to potentially commit suicide here and not start because of money during a pandemic, the NBA is like, hey, you know what? There's a lot of money on the line. Let's do everything we need to do. What do we need to do? Let's do it. You want to send some of us to Las Vegas and some of us to Orlando? Cool. Let's go play. It's not ideal. There's going to be an asterisk by it. But you know what? Let's get our money. Let's play. And the NFL, to its everlasting credit, is the king for a reason. And the NFL has said all along, yeah, we're going to start on time and we're going to play. I don't know what the stadium will look like, but we're going to play.
So that surprised you with MLB, doesn't it? Right? I mean, it surprised me a little bit.
It should. Look, I love Major League Baseball. I love it. But the owners and the players, the level of distrust is so unhealthy that they can't understand that this is an opportunity. This is what I've been saying. They're in a sport that when you and I'm probably a little older than you. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
42.
Okay, so I'm 8 years older than you. When I was a kid, MLB was bigger than the NFL.
Absolutely.
When I was a kid, when the Royals and the Phillies played in the 1980 World Series, it was a damn big deal.
Mm-hmm.
George Brett, Mike Schmidt, those guys were absolute superstars in the way that NFL quarterbacks are today, in the way that Tiger Woods was in his prime.
Cal Ripken. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody.
like I told you I was an Orioles fan. I mean, it was that way.
Everybody knew those guys. And so now that's not the case. Now Mike Trout might be the best baseball player to ever play the game. Statistics say that he probably is. Mike Trout could walk the streets of Oxford, and I don't know how many people would notice him.
Yeah.
And so here's this opportunity for baseball to go, okay, it's a weird season. Whoever wins the championship, they're going to get a trophy, and they'll hold it up and whatnot. And the other 29 teams are going to go whatever. So this is your opportunity to turn the season into a marketing campaign. You've got all these great young players in the game. Frankly, because of all the travel ball and the way that baseball has developed, the game might never have been better. The level of pitching is off the charts. The number of great young hitters, Ronald Acuna and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I mean, just the list goes on and on and on of these great young players. Put mics on them. Let them go play. Let the kids like my son and his friends watch, and they'll be drawn to the young players, especially when they can hear them talk. Turn this season into go from a lost season into a marketing campaign. Invest. It's literally putting money into a 401k. You're not going to see it right away, but let it grow. I keep waiting for them to do that. The NBA, book it. Adam Silver's a genius. I know he screwed up the China thing, but from a marketing standpoint, he's a genius. Watch, when they come back, they're going to have camera angles that are new. They're going to mic up players. They're going to tell the players, hey, man, be cool with the F-bombs and stuff that you normally do. Let's clean it up. This is an opportunity for us to grow. And you watch. They're going to do it in much the same way that golf the other day, right? They put the 4 players out there on the course. They let them wear shorts. They mic them up. They're going to learn from that. They're going to do it. They're going to let young people get to know these people. It's going to be the hardest part for football. I know I'm going on a diatribe here, but it's the hardest part for football that's going to start up. No one's ever going to remember who won this year other than who wins. Everybody else, it's an opportunity to market your sport.
Now, what did you guys get? I mean, you've probably already talked about it this week. What were your takeaways from The Last Dance? Or favorite moments?
It's one of the best docs as far as executed maybe you've seen from a sports standpoint. And it's one of those deals where I was watching it and I thought, from a pure entertainment standpoint, I don't know how it could have gotten any better. You know what I mean? Like, is some of it true? Like you're seeing now some people come out and go, hey, maybe this wasn't right or this wasn't right. Who cares? Like, that was kind of the point of, I'm just trying to be entertained. I got a better glimpse into one of the most complicated, competitive athletes of all time. It was perfect. I thought that no matter, there was so much, it wasn't about truth or fiction. It was about, let's get a glimpse into his psyche, because that's all you're really looking for is, how does he tick? What are you getting out of it from his standpoint? And I think that some people missed the boat on that. Is you were just getting a look into his mind's eye, and that's it, and you move forward from there. That's the deal.
I wish, and they focused on it at a couple of points in time. There were a few takeaways. I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. The bouncing back and forth from year to year, I thought was a little confusing at times. For me, and I guess if I went back and watched all of them, back to back to back to back to back, and maybe it made sense. That was probably the only negative part of it. However,
if you did watch it back to it, I'm with you. At first, it was disconcerting. When I watched them all in succession, I got into a rhythm with it, and I understood it, and it was good.
It had to be that way, right? Or they wouldn't have. But at times, I felt a little bit confused there. The thing that I wish that my players, because somebody asked me the other day, they said, what could you take away from that you would want your players, to have taken away? And it was the slight. What made that guy good? You remember the part where he's with Ahmad Rashad eating at a restaurant in Utah, and they're playing the Jazz. And I think it was the beginning part of that series maybe. And George Karl was in the restaurant.
It was the year they were playing the Sonics, and they were.
Oh yes,
I'm sorry. They were in Chicago, and George Karl, who's another North Carolina guy, left the restaurant in Chicago and did not speak. And he said,
speak to
"That's
him.
all I need.
That's all I need." And he latched onto it. And I got goosebumps thinking about it. But if MJ, and I've had a chance to spend time with him on the golf course and be around and listen, that's what made him good, and that's what makes the best good. That's what makes Brooks Koepka great. That guy loves a slight.
He has to find it,
and he's got to find it. And you're in the regular guy, us sitting around, we'll go, I didn't take what that guy said as a slight, and they just latch onto it and they go, no, he meant that. No, he meant that. He didn't look at me because of that. I'm going to get him.
The Hornets series.
How much of that is contrived versus there's a switch to flip where, no, they really believe it? Like, you're not just telling yourself. You've got to believe it, right? There's a –
well, I like
this. Like a Brooks or a Jordan or something like that.
You just need fuel.
Yes, I'm saying.
Yeah, you're just putting fuel in the engine.
But you got to convince yourself it's real is my point.
100% they believe it. But, again, that's so hard to do.
Yeah,
I can do it too. I think I'm fairly good at it. I tell people all the time, I'm a terrible loser, right? That's my best quality, and that's probably what makes me a semi-decent coach, not an SEC coach of the year like our women's coach, but it makes me a semi-decent, coach on this. And
but it's what made Jordan great.
It's what made him great. It wasn't, and I tell you the guy that's really good about that too, so on the PGA Tour, Billy Horschel.
Really?
And listen, I like Billy, but when I tell you he doesn't have – if he stands on a range, he's got the least amount of talent of just about anybody that's out there. If there's a tour event, he's got nothing. There's no reason for him to win. That dude won a FedEx Cup. And he literally thinks he is the greatest player walking, and then if somebody overlooks him, he went to University of Florida on a book scholarship. He was a walk-on, on that deal. But he took that slight and flipped it around, and then – built that confidence and got back up. That's what make the best.
Obviously, a casual nature. What is MJ like on a golf course?
Very intense. I think everything that you hear and big time gambling is true. But again, if he loses $20,000 on the golf course, that's like $2. Not even. It's less than that's 20 cents to you and I. So I don't think he thinks a whole lot about it, but it's. Something's got to get him going, right? And if that means it's $50,000, if that means it's $1 million, if that means it's $500,000, there you go. He was disrespected.
You know what struck me a little bit, and the documentary was about Michael Jordan. Obviously, it was they started it to build it around the Bulls, but it was about Jordan. But you got a glimpse into the genius of Phil Jackson, the psychological genius of Phil Jackson. Here's this team that Dennis. Think about this for a minute. We've covered coaches. I covered Nick Saban for a little while. Dennis Rodman leaves in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals and skips a practice and goes to a wrestling event and wrestles and the whole deal and then comes back and plays. You know there was a part of Phil Jackson that seethed, but there also was a part of him that said, it's okay. I got this. How many coaches would have had the emotional and intellectual wherewithal to ride that wave to its conclusion and not blow up and turn it into something even bigger inside the team dynamic than it was, because it was something they were all talking about.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it's going to take a mature coach, someone that's comfortable in their own skin. But so think about the alternative. That's how he was. To your point, what a genius he was. That he sat there. He knew that he wanted to do that. Right. He knew he wanted to leave. What was the alternative? To say no, and then you're done. I mean,
you freak him out. Yeah.
So it's not like him leaving was an ideal. Like that sucked. I mean, I'm sure he was going and he was having heartache no matter what he says, but it was better than the alternative of stuff's about to hit the fan.
Yeah, Jordan made a great comment. He was actually on a golf course. It was right before the finals, not the finals, but the playoffs began in '98, and Jordan's teeing up. It's him and Ron Harper and some dudes, and Jordan makes a comment that Phil understands we needed a day off. And, he said a lot of other coaches would have had us practicing today, and we'd be a lot of pissed off players. And to me, you go back and look at Phil Jackson's career, and people go, oh, well, he benefited from having great players. And there's no doubt. You're obviously better with a great player. You're going to win more golf championships with great golfers than you are shitty golfers. But look at the egos that he managed over the course of his career. He managed Michael Jordan. He managed a Scottie Pippen who was underpaid and knew it. He managed Dennis Rodman. He managed Kobe Bryant. He managed Shaquille O'Neal. He managed Kobe Bryant when Kobe Bryant was pissed off at Shaquille O'Neal for being out of shape. He managed Kobe Bryant post Shaquille O'Neal. Remarkable. I mean, really remarkable at how much of an absolute genius he was. His understanding of the human psyche, his understanding of the absolute highest level of athlete and being able to get the most out of them, being able to drive them to the brink but not push them over. To me, that's someone said, what would you like to have seen more of? I'd like for them to go back now. Okay, let's do this a Phil Jackson thing. Yeah. And I'm all in on Michael because Michael's the GOAT. But now that we've done that and we understand him better, I'd love to have more of the Phil Jackson footage to understand exactly what it was that he dealt with over those years.
And as a coach, I mean, that's what I watch, a lot of as well. So I'm glad you really said that. And, it's like people ask me all the time, and listen, I'm not comparing being a college golf coach to Phil Jackson managing the Bulls.
But it is, but managing people is managing people.
It's managing people. And, people like, we'll have a terrible round of golf. And think about it. I'm coaching, when we're at a tournament, 5, 18 to 22-year-olds playing golf. I mean, first of all, they're 18 to 22-year-olds. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, and you're more psychologist than coach after
right.
that.
And then especially in the game of golf. So, I mean, you walk to the golf course, you talk about stressful, you don't know what's going to happen, good or bad, anything, So you get out there, but, we'll have a bad round of golf and, people go, I'll get home that night or and I'll get texts from people and say, whoa, I don't even want to know what you said to the guys tonight. I'm like, man, I hugged them. Listen, I'll have my guys' asses a lot. That wasn't the time. Like it wasn't, after they had a bad round of golf. Now, if they made a bunch of terrible decisions and acted like jerks on the golf course, then you may have something to talk about. But if they went out and just
didn't play well,
didn't play well, right? I mean, maybe it's basketball and
because it could be a girlfriend thing. It could be something happening at home. It could be just, hey, I woke up in a bad mood, or
you just missed a bunch of shots.
Yeah,
right? I mean, and it doesn't have to be us. Like it'd be a quarterback. If you have a quarterback that comes off and he's practiced hard all week, he's doing the right things, making the right reads, just didn't make the throw. Are you yell at him? Like I don't know. I mean, the best coaches I've ever been around in my life, they know, to your point, to go, okay, I mean, I got a time. I mean, I'm telling you, the hardest I am ever on my team is after a really good round of golf. And it may be after some of the best rounds of golf, just to get their attention back and whatever. But after, they just didn't have a good day, no matter what sport it was. I mean, that's not when you want to get them. And Phil was just the best of the best at that.
Yeah, he was a genius at it. It was, and this documentary was just Jordan. You didn't even see the Kobe stuff, the Shaq stuff. That there's a lot there. It's just remarkable what people say. Well, anybody could have won with Jordan. Well, he was the only one that did. People say, well, anybody could win with Kobe. Well, he was the only one that did.
Did you guys see the stuff going around social media today with Karl Malone? Like the post interview deal.
Yeah,
he had a cigar.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. Did you see that?
I hadn't seen this. No.
It was great. So it was part of the interview, but they didn't show it. They didn't put it on The Last Dance, and he's got a cigar, and he looks like you would think Karl Malone would look like right now. Big beard, and they said, what comes to your mind when I say Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan? And the poor guy's going, okay, so was it be competitor? He goes, no, Michael Jordan played for the Bulls. And the guy's sitting there, he goes, man, I don't know what you want me to tell you.
He goes, take me back to that. Tell me about that game 6. And he said, why? Why should I? And
it was awesome.
And so but he gets it out of him. He says, I never thought of it as playing Michael Jordan. I thought of it as playing the Chicago Bulls. And that's a glimpse into Karl Malone. Look, I grew up in North Louisiana. I watched Karl Malone's college career in person. Karl Malone was a badass.
Right.
Karl Malone was a stud.
So that's what made him good.
Yeah, and so when he's on the floor, he and John Stockton, they're not looking at Michael Jordan going, oh, my God, that's Michael Jordan. No, they're this close. Karl Malone doesn't look back at it and go, well, I lost to Jordan. He looks back at it and goes, I was right there, and I didn't get it done. I'm man enough to admit that I didn't get it done. And you realize that's one of the things that struck me about the documentary. Charles Barkley, greater than anyone gives him credit for. Reggie Miller, an absolute freak of a player. An offensive genius, a guy who could score at will, who could put up 15 points in 2 minutes and get red hot and take over an NBA game. And then Karl Malone, John Stockton. If you take Michael Jordan out of that era, just change one thing, the butterfly effect of just let Michael Jordan go be a baseball player instead of playing basketball. We view Stockton and Malone so differently today. We view Reggie Miller so differently today. We don't just view probably Reggie Miller as great shooter. We view him as champion. It's amazing what a title means for a legacy and how many people Michael Jordan deprived of a title.
I mean, Patrick Ewing probably gets one over
He
that
absolutely
stretch.
gets one. Yeah. I mean,
that John Starks, that they would have a little run.
Yeah, the Knicks would have had a run, and who knows what Houston's run would have been. It's just, Jordan he just single-handedly put a team, but it was more than him, though. It was Pippen, and Steve Kerr was a great player, and Harper was one of the best defenders in the history of the game.
Harper was great. I think he's probably one of the more underrated guys there.
And they went from Horace Grant to a Lull where they didn't win to Dennis Rodman where you had a defensive rebounding guy. There was more to the Bulls than just Jordan. It was, I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I think if we end up getting back to normal from a sports standpoint, and this fall we have college football, we have the NFL and baseball in some shape, form, or fashion, and maybe the NBA finishes in this made-for-TV kind of a deal, I do think we'll look back as sports fans and say, that Jordan documentary, those 5 weeks, that was a hell of a bridge. It kind of gave us something. It's made a lot of people feel good. Well, I'll tell you this, my son's 13, and on Sunday night at 10 o'clock, he came down. And now Carson loves the NBA. He's up there with the Zion Williamson jersey on right now. He came down and said, Dad, that was awesome. And I thought, how cool was that there's this generation of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids out there that never saw Jordan play. They got to see that, and they're like, oh, I get it now.
Well, and it's the media trope of, okay, now who do you want to see? It's like, no, it was Jordan. Like that was the perfect person. Like, okay, maybe Tiger Woods if he talked. Like otherwise,
Yeah, sure.
there's nobody else that's that compelling. They're not a list of 25 that you go, hey, give this treatment to.
No, there's not 25.
This is Jordan
Jordans.
treatment.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan's Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jackie Robinson, Kobe. I mean, we're talking 10 people. I mean, in the history of sport that are that compelling that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people here. Tom Brady's not one of them. As much as he's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, someone said we're going to do a Tom Brady documentary. I'm like, I'll pass.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to do a Kobe documentary. In. You're going to do Tiger. We're going to get true Tiger. All in.
So who you doing it? I mean, for the NFL, who would
I don't
do
think
that?
there is a human right now, like active at least. I mean, you could.
Gotta be. Well, it doesn't have to be active, but I mean, in the history.
I mean, a guy that would be really good if he
Would Brett Favre be compelling?
Peyton Manning.
You think Peyton has had there's enough there?
If you got raw with Peyton.
Really?
Yeah, if you could get raw with Peyton and see just how much some of the losses to the Patriots killed him, the way that he drove himself, the way that football from an early age was just his defining thing.
Yeah, he's got the genes, right? He's got the last name that may have that. But isn't it amazing that the loser of all those head-to-head battles, but between him and Tom Brady, would probably be the more compelling deal. And I agree with you.
Oh, this is good actually. On our live stream, Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and someone else says Barry Sanders. I'd be in on Barry Sanders. Here's what's interesting with Jordan. They left his personal life out, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
If you were to give me the Peyton Manning story, I'd want the personal life. Mm-hmm. How did being you impact your marriage? Like, I'd love to hear Olivia, because there's this, it's considered sort of we don't know whether it's mythical or fable or whether it's real, where Olivia Manning was upset when Peyton Manning chose Tennessee because she was afraid that her son chose a football factory and that he would go be a football robot. And what she really wanted for him in college was to go to college and maybe kind of have Eli's experience, where you had a few beers and some girls chased you around, and after a while you settled into football and you played and stuff. But she didn't want him to go be a football robot. Now, I'd love to get to the truth of that. Is that true, or did you really think that way about your 18-year-old kid? I mean, I'd love to know some of those things. He would be interesting, but I mean, here's the thing. We talked about this with baseball. Is there a single player in Major League Baseball today that you would watch a documentary about?
No.
Now, off the top of my head.
We're struggling to come up with one in the NFL, so certainly.
And see, and I could do this with current NBA players. Who would you watch a documentary of? I could name 5 that I'd be interested in.
Well, true. I mean, I think with
Kevin
baseball,
Durant.
Unfortunately, the only thing with baseball, if I went back and picked somebody, it would go back to for all the wrong reasons. It'd be a Mark McGwire.
Well, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They're doing the Sosa McGuire thing from 90. Was it 98?
I didn't even know. Okay.
I'd be in on Ken Griffey.
Yeah, Griffey, but again, we're talking. We're not talking current players. That's where Major League Baseball's failed to market their current players.
Yeah, that's
in 10 years, will people care about a Bryce Harper win?
I don't know. Probably not, based on what we're looking at right now.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, so Bryce is with the Phillies now.
Yeah.
I had to think about that. That's how bad.
I mean, I think
ESPN is doing a Tiger one this weekend, but he's not involved in it. It's completely third person.
I mean, I know I'm a Cubs guy, but think about this for a minute. In the 80s, if the Cubs had Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, and they'd won a World Series, these two really good-looking, smart, articulate, funny, good dudes, they'd be superstars. And they're stars, don't get me wrong. But you wouldn't list Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo as one of the top 20 celebrities in major American sports. 30 years ago, they'd have been in the top 5.
They'd have been superstar. I mean, think Andre Dawson was a superstar back then.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's
my guy.
It's amazing how much that sport has failed to market itself.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So when you think any of your stuff resumes, you have any idea? As we're kind of closing.
Again, I have no clue. I mean, I know that I think we made a positive step in the right direction of the things we're starting to hear this week, and hopefully getting football back sooner than later. And then here's a good part about our sport. We don't normally come back until the week before school, and we don't start until the first week of school anyway. So if there's one coach that's probably overly not stressed about it, it's me.
You got some time.
Yeah, exactly. We have time. My guys are out. They're going to spend the next couple of months, playing golf tournaments and doing what they do every single summer. I mean, I think our point of stress right now is hoping that they have some of these amateur tournaments to play in throughout the summer, and
that is a good point. You're the one sport that stayed legal this entire time. So yeah, they can't even in baseball. I was talking to people and they said, well, it depends what state you're in, whether they can get out and throw it around or whatever. But for the most part, golf courses have been open. I mean, be smart, but they could still practice and play and have a normal existence.
All of our guys, and knock on wood, if had their golf courses open, they've been fine. We have a kid back in Finland. They're just now getting to the point.
Okay.
But even my kid in Thailand, he said, courses opened back up, a
Really?
couple of weeks back, and there's a sense of normalcy there. No, they'll be fine. They'll be good. We're not worried about it. We'll go when they tell us to go, and you get football rolling.
All jokes aside, how long did it take to kind of get out of that routine and not being like, hey, I'm not going to the office, we're not playing? I mean, because it had to take a little while to settle down, didn't it?
It was the most bizarre thing that you could ever imagine, right? I mean, so I think for me, the first thing was, oh boy, I need to, worry about my guys and getting them back and, back home safely. We have, as I mentioned, a kid from Thailand, a kid from Finland. That was my first train of thought. So we got them, sent off on maybe a Monday, and so they're on the way back home. They get back home, and then you saw, we're such a creature of habit, in our deal that, Keith said, okay, you can work from home. Right, you're gonna be forced to work from home in about a week or so, but you can work from home. So I think I had to ease into that, and maybe I just went into the office or even drove out to the office when I couldn't get into the office for about another week. I mean, literally, I would take off and go, and the gates were closed at the golf course, and I'd look at the gates, and then drive around a little bit, and then come back home. My wife would go, "Where were you?" Office. I thought you said it was closed.
It was.
It was. I just wanted to confirm that it was closed. I mean, I wanted to make sure it was closed. And the hard part for me is in our sport, and I'm not saying to feel sorry for me because there are a lot of people with a lot bigger problems, but right now we're just so used to recruiting, and we do have some free time, usually in the summer, but we're going to recruit about 30 days at least, in the summer, and we got nothing. I mean, you're just kind of going through the motions, and it's not like until June 15th in our sport, we can't even call 2022 prospects.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
the guys that were able to recruit, like eligible class-wise, we can't even call. So pretty bored. Again, goes back to the cooking. And
the cooking and
I better be good at cooking.
the cheating
by
on the
end of
grill.
this.
Well, you're going to be really good with that one.
I better
Dang,
be.
Chris.
If I'm not, I'm really giving up.
That's fair. You'll be wanting the egg again in 18 months. You're like, hey, this is too boring. Just too.
Yeah, I'm not big for challenges in that deal. Like I said, I got enough surprises in my life. Shoot, I'll take easy.
Okay, good enough. Appreciate Ashley from Cast Wines. Obviously, Grove is the promo code for that one to purchase some if you're in an area where you can do that. This will be the Friday podcast where most people are listening to it as well, and then we'll be back next week. More reviews, still probably some in studio stuff. As normalcy is beginning to kind of return a little bit, thank goodness. So we have that, but we appreciate Chris, appreciate Ashley for giving us a little bit of time today, and we'll talk to you again very